Hello, everyone. I am your host, Ahad Hussain, and welcome to Season 5 of Titan Alumni Talks, a weekly podcast where we talk to alumni about their experiences at Cal State Fullerton. For this week's episode, we have Sathya Chey, who is the founder and a wealth manager of Arise Private Wealth. She graduated in 2008 with a bachelor's in business admin and an emphasis in finance. Listen as we talk about her experiences as a first-gen student, along with how she started her own company. You can catch these episodes live at 10 p.m. on Wednesdays at titanradio.org, or you can watch all past episodes on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/CSUF alumni. You can also catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher Radio. Thank you so much, Sathya, for joining us on the podcast today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So I want to get started with your background. You started Cal State Fullerton in 2003, and it was in business administration. So where did this interest kind of come in from? When did you sort of think that business was the right path for you?
So I came from a family of entrepreneurs. I've done a couple interviews regarding Cal State Fullerton, so some people may be familiar. You know, I was born in a refugee camp. My family came to this country after they survived the Cambodian genocide, and they immediately became entrepreneurs, right? My mom didn't graduate middle school. My father didn't graduate high school. So, you know, the land of opportunity here in America, they recycled cans and cardboard. They saved up for a sewing machine, started sewing clothes, all those things. And they opened various businesses in the Long Beach area. So they became a model for me in terms of being just in business and owning your own business. So at that point, graduating high school, I didn't have a passion. I wasn't like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be in, in politics. There wasn't anything kind of that I was really passionate about. So I just fell into business. Hey, this is what my family does. And, there wasn't the passion that I have now for my career. There wasn't that in picking my major. And then choosing finance was like, okay, well, I like money. I want to make a lot of money. Why don't I pick a career that's surrounded around money? And that's how it is. And I am such a person where I hate wasting time. So once I was committed to getting a finance major, I just didn't want to, I thought maybe I'll change or go into marketing or something more fun or music, because I love music too. But at that point, I was like, I just committed so much time already. I don't want to change. And, that's it's funny because I know that a lot of students change their majors often thinking, oh, I don't want to be stuck doing something I don't love, and I think you don't need to believe that just because you're getting your degree in a certain subject or area, industry, that you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life. It's just, I don't know what the statistics are, but I'm sure it's not high percentage that you always end up in the industry you get a degree in.
So you were also a first-gen student. So what was that kind of like as well, being the first person to go to college or higher ed and sort of experiencing that? So I guess one of the other questions that I had was, did you commute to campus?
I commuted to campus. I lived at home. A lot of, I think, immigrant cultures, you don't really move out. You live with your family. And I definitely did that. I also worked at the family business. So being first gen, I think the struggle was there wasn't that importance of college in terms of my parents felt like, oh, we'll do whatever we can so that you can just focus on college. I think that's a second generation goal, because they were more thinking, okay, well, you still have to pay the bills. I had to pay for my own tuition, and you still have to contribute to the family's finances. So you still had to work and also go to college and get grades because we want better for you and all those things. But there wasn't, it was having to juggle, the contributing to the family business or finances, and then also being a student.
So I kind of saw that with my parents who were first gen students. It was kind of like what you were saying, that they did have to help out quite a bit with the family while also going to university. And it was more so for themselves and for their future rather than sort of pressure from their parents. But me as a second gen student, I do kind of feel sort of like babied a little bit because they try and make sure that, hey, look, everything that you need is provided to you. You don't have to work. And I sometimes I feel kind of bad that everything
Yeah.
is sort of provided. I sort of want to work on my own, but I kind of see where you're coming from, where you kind of had to play both parts, taking care of the family
Hmm.
and taking care of your future, which is an interesting dynamic that not a lot of people have to experience, and hopefully from now on, with like second and third gen, as it becomes more common to get a college education, it's just a lot easier for students to do that without having to worry about taking care of their family.
Yeah. And I think also because we weren't an English um, culture, helping them navigate their life in America and paying bills and reading legal documents that they had to go through, I had to balance that too, so that was also a responsibility that I think second and third gen won't have.
So yeah, it's a lot more behind the scenes as well,
Yeah.
that you kind of don't see from an outside perspective, but in reality, there's quite a lot of things that you have to juggle.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's very commendable that anyone who has to deal with these specific scenarios. And I know everyone in the world has like their specific niche of problems that they have to deal with at home, and this is just another one of them. That it is
Yeah.
very commendable doing this along with getting a university to help the further generation. So
Oh, and then I threw a wrench in my own plans because I got engaged and had a daughter in my junior year of college. I was going to Cal State Fullerton up until 8 months pregnant, and then I went back to school to finish my undergrad when my daughter was 3 months old. I have a 16-year-old daughter now, so yeah, I made it harder on myself.
So, how was
So
that experience, sort of like coming back and sort of taking a gap from Cal State Fullerton to do this?
yeah, well, I took a semester off after I had her, and it was hard because I didn't work at first. I was just focused on being a mother and going to school full time. But then I ultimately had to work and be a mother and go to school. And that was a balance. I commuted to school. As I said, I lived in Long Beach. So, that would be a 40-minute to an hour commute sometimes. Um, and it was, it really taught me time management, and prioritization. I'm a financial advisor now, and obviously I have assistants or support staff, and it's just becoming so glaringly aware. It's not a lot of the things that make you successful in your career are not necessarily things you're going to learn in school. And I know you've heard that before, but being able to prioritize your time, delegate, juggle multiple things at once. These are all life experiences I learned that I think helped make me successful in my career.
And like they say, that certain things like these are what builds character. And yeah,
Hmm.
it is unfortunate that we do have to juggle all of these things, but maybe it's for the better in the future.
Yeah, no regrets. It's all good.
Yeah. So, what were some of like the activities you did on campus? Like any specific clubs, or were you part of a sorority, or
So
um,
I was involved with Business Titans, and I didn't do any sorority. Obviously being a young mother, I didn't have a lot of time, and I didn't live on campus or even close to campus, so it was hard to really engage with the social aspect of school. I think people often say Cal State Fullerton is a commuter school, um, and that's why it's been really nice to go to campus after and see you all have music playing in the quad areas and the open areas, and making it feel so much more of a campus, right? That people would hang out at. Before, when I was going there, it was very much a commuter school in that everything felt gray and you didn't want to hang out there. And the student center was cool, always cool, but you know, everyone wants to be outdoors more. So I love how engaging the outdoor areas are now. But going back to my time, yeah, involved in Business Titans. But no, I wasn't terribly involved in a lot of school activities, unfortunately.
So during your time at Cal State Fullerton as well, you were working a couple of jobs. So sort of how did you get into those jobs without a degree with you? Was it something that didn't really require a degree, or did they know that you were going to school and were working on it?
Yeah, well, so most of the, so I worked in jobs that didn't require degrees or skills. One was a cold calling job with a modeling agency where they built online model portfolios, and I just had to call people that they met. There would be people standing in the mall and said, "You should be a model. Give me your number." And technically you were just signing up to get signed up for this website. And I would call people and say, "Hey, do you remember signing up for this modeling website?" And, most of the time it was F you, like, "How'd you get my number? He's dead," that type of thing. So that didn't require any really skill other than thick skin. So I did that. And then I did I worked at a spa and things like that. And then obviously our family businesses, my dad's car dealership. I worked as the finance manager there. And then my final job that led me into finance, I found through the Career Center. It was for the assistant at an investment firm based in downtown Long Beach, which was great because I lived in Long Beach, even though I was going to school at Cal State Fullerton. And so I found that through the Career Center. And yeah, they weren't looking for any experience. That job, that company, which I stayed at for almost 13 years, was really just looking for the right personality fit for the company.
I see. So you brought up a lot of great points, and the number one being is that the Cal State Fullerton Career Center has so many things to offer. And not just the Career Center, but like you mentioned as well, that we did renovate the campus very recently. Now it's a lot more lively. So it's just an extra incentive to stay on campus and just to make sure that you stay connected even after you graduate, which I know that you do as well. Because there's so many things that it does offer and that we can give back as well once we finish Cal State Fullerton and become alum as well. Another thing I wanted to ask was you got your master's soon after you graduated from Cal State Fullerton, and you did that at the Marshall School of Business, and it was your MBA. So, what kind of led you to this decision of getting an MBA, and was it necessary to promote your career, or was your career something that you could have done with only a bachelor's?
Yeah, so I want to say I graduated in 2007 or 2008 from Cal State Fullerton. And then I went to get my master's in 2012. So there was a break between my undergrad and my master's, and I would definitely recommend that. I've been asked that before. Do you recommend going to get your master's right after? And I really think a master's is so much, the education, what you're learning is so much more useful when you've had some real world experience to apply it to, because at least a master's in business is a lot of strategy focused on, marketing strategy, business strategy, pivoting around different cycles in the economy and things like that. And it's just different when you've worked for a company, have actually experienced those changes in different market cycles. So I would definitely recommend that. And what your question about I pursued it because I did think, being a young Asian woman in a male-dominated industry, that I needed more credibility. I was motivated. I had experience, but I still look young for my age, I think. And, I think the more letters you had after your name, the more credibility it gave you. And so that was one of the reasons I wanted to get my MBA. The experience, in terms of just learning. I love to learn. The Marshall Trojan Network, I thought would be beneficial to me growing my client base or maybe additional work opportunities. Those were the main reasons. Now, in hindsight, do I feel like I would be where I am today if I didn't get my MBA? I don't know. I don't think it had as much of a benefit, at least for me in my career, as I would have thought. But, who knows, right? Would I be maybe I'd be less confident. Maybe I wouldn't think I deserved a raise because I didn't get my MBA. Maybe that did lead me to make certain decisions in my career and in my life that led me to where I am today. And that's probably true.
So even though it wasn't a direct impact on your future career, it's still something that can be beneficial as, the implicit
certainly.
benefits of it are, they could have already been found, and who knows, in the future, they might also be found. So you were working while getting your MBA. So what was kind of that process? Were you able to work out with your manager or your boss to take some time off or switch hours a bit in order to get your MBA, or was it more part-time MBA, full-time work?
It was part-time MBA, full-time work. So I would leave work at 5, school class started at 6:30 p.m. So I would leave work in downtown Long Beach around 5-ish and maybe take a nap in the car before going to class from 7 to 10:30 or something like that. And so, I did that. You had to go to campus at least 2 days a week, some weeks 3 days a week. So they were supportive, though. They were, maybe I needed to leave early for a group project or something like that, or, they were supportive, though, but I was still responsible for being there 40 hours a week at majority of the time that I should be there.
I know that some places do make it a little bit more flexible, or they sometimes subsidize the tuition for the master's program. But I mean, I guess it also goes to show that not every job will do that. So
financially, they did say that I would get a student loan, and then financially they would help pay for the student loan payments as long as I stayed with the company. So I didn't stay with the company the entire term of my student loan. So they didn't help me pay it all off. My USC tuition, I want to say, was $120,000. Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's a consideration when you think about, is my MBA worth it? Well, an MBA at Cal State Fullerton is so much cheaper. It's less of a big decision is going to USC, and is it worth it? Because you really have to think it's worth it, to pay that money back. So they didn't pay. So they were supportive financially in that they helped me to pay some of my loan payments for the years that I stayed after graduating.
So I guess the best thing to do is just be completely transparent with who you're working with, just to see what they do offer in terms 100%. Of maybe flexible hours or paying for at least part of your tuition, which is kind of neat, that you work, get paid, and have it be a little subsidized.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. So what you currently do right now, you're a wealth advisor for Arise Private Wealth. So what does that really mean? What does it mean to be a wealth advisor?
Yeah. So I say wealth advisor because, other people might use the term investment advisor, right? Of course, I advise people on their investments. In essence, the core of my job is people give me their money. I make the investment decisions on them, meaning it's not a, your old school broker arrangement where it's hey, I got a hot stock tip for you. You need to buy, 10 shares of Tesla now and sell this and do that. Not that, I sit down with my clients. I hear what their goals are, the life that they want to create, and then I help them create a plan for it, and then also complement that plan in terms of steps, save this much, you can only spend this much, work this long, but invest like this to help reach your goals. So wealth advisor, because I'm advising on so much more than in their investments, but all of their wealth. And I even look at wealth as their health, their work-life balance. I've helped my clients fill out their online dating profile. I've helped my clients, look at extracurricular activities they could start getting into after they retire, or, charity boards that they could start working with because they wanted something more fulfilling in their life. I'm advising them on all aspects of that.
So it's like a personal life coach,
Yeah, I really believe that an aspect of my job is life coaching, and that's why when I created my firm, Arise Private Wealth, it was all about rising above the person you were yesterday, becoming a better version of yourself. And that's so much more than being invested in a diversified portfolio and making sure you're saving enough and all those things. Because overall, if you are a happy person, I think you will be a much more profitable, abundant person, right? You'll start making confident decisions around how much you deserve to get paid and where you're going to spend your time, the people you surround yourself with. All that, I think, comes out in a very tangible way in terms of how successful you are in your career and your life and the decisions you make. So as much as I can help people become a better version of themselves, it's going to help me because I get paid by how much I manage for clients. So the more I can help them make, the more it helps me. So our goals are aligned in that my job is to help you grow your wealth, and that works great for clients too.
So from like a client perspective, when would it be like appropriate to go to like a private wealth manager and advisor? Is it something that like I should do right out of college, or is it something that, you know, you win the lottery and then you contact someone? So is it something that, you know, is there like a cutoff on the income where you would recommend people to reach out to advisors?
No, I think there are financial advisors that have minimums, right? You have to have $3 million investable to invest with this advisor or whatnot. But there's many financial advisors that have no minimum. And I think if you are someone who wants to focus on what makes you what makes you feel happy and what you're passionate about, and that thing isn't managing an investment portfolio and looking at your stocks and looking at your plan and if you don't love that, then you should pay someone else to do that. When one of the things I really advise people about in terms of, people are always thinking being financially sound has to do with budgeting and not spending anything and it's more about being mindful of what you spend your money on. So, for example, the Starbucks coffee, people are always like, oh, if you stop buying a Starbucks coffee, $5 a week, and then you'd save $3,000 a year, it's like, but if Starbucks coffee, you really love that and that brings you joy and that makes you more productive in work, then it's totally worth it. But for me, I rather not spend the money on Starbucks and get hire a cleaner to come clean my house twice a month. I'd rather save the money for that because that's a more better use of the money, of my money. And so with a financial advisor, yes, you have to pay an advisor for their service, but if it's going to take away the stress of managing these things yourself and allow you to focus on making money and make better financial decisions, then will pay for itself.
Mm-hmm. So that's like great advice right there. And it seems like it's a unique experience for everyone. I doubt that you have two customers who come in with the exact same goals, the exact same current wealth, the exact same budgeting. So it's kind of important to realize that everyone's situation is unique and just find out what you love to do. And that, sort of expands even beyond wealth and throughout life. You don't have to follow what everyone else is doing. Like you mentioned before, just the Starbucks coffee. If it really matters to you, then go ahead and do it. Like it's not the end of the world. And you don't have to listen to all of these gurus on Twitter and Facebook. And
right. All that. Oh, don't spend anything. Your savings rate should be 80%. It's like, finances and being financially secure is so much more than just thinking about the future all the time. I'm a very spiritual person, and being present, being grateful for the present. If you're too focused on saving everything in the future and that you retiring earlier, it's like, are you really enjoying today? So it is a fine dance of being mindful and frugal and not just kind of frivolously spending money and not thinking about the future, but also not living so much in the future that you're not enjoying this moment. So it's a fine line. It's a fine line.
And one thing I would like definitely recommend to, I know a lot of like people get into it late, but getting into the stock market and making sure that your money is being invested, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's through a wealth advisor or doing it on your
Mm-hmm.
own. And that's sort of like how I do it. It's sort of like my fix
Good.
that I take every day. Just like, just playing around with it. Today was sort of a bad day for the market. So, but I just find it to be kind of fun. So if people do find it fun, then go ahead and start investing. And if not, then there are definitely people out there who are willing to manage your money. As long as you make sure that it's being managed, it's being taken care of, then everyone should be able to do that. That's like the
Right.
one thing I recommend. Either you have someone do it for you or you do it. Just
Yeah.
make sure it gets done.
Well, I always say it's time in the market, not timing the market. People are so, right now is the time to go into cryptocurrency, or, oh my gosh, the market's going to fall. I'm going to take my money out. It's you all are young enough where you have a long time horizon. 2/3 of the time the market is up. The probability is in your favor that just being invested is going to do well for you. So you got it right in that it's just get in there and start investing.
hmm So you mentioned that you created Arise Private Wealth. So this seems like it's part of your entrepreneurial background, working on this. So how did this idea kind of begin, and when was it something that you decided to leave, let's say, like a stable job into getting into this?
Right. So I worked at a private firm, investment firm, for about 12 years. Then I went to Wells Fargo, and joined my business partner right now, Steve, at Wells Fargo Advisors. And when you're working for a Wells Fargo or a Merrill Lynch or a Morgan Stanley, you are an employee of Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or Wells Fargo, right? And so you do have a lot more restrictions and in terms of what you do, because you are representing them, they're liable for you. And I felt very handcuffed by those limitations. And so my partner and I, we are of a size where we could go what you would call in our industry independent, starting your own firm. Now we still have insurance and client assets are protected, and there isn't a Bernie Madoff situation that could happen here because you have a custodian and things like that. But why we decided to leave was I knew there was opportunity for us to do better for clients technology wise, investment wise, and hiring wise that I wasn't able to do under the Wells Fargo umbrella. And so it was really important for me to pursue this opportunity to have a little bit more control.
I see. So this sort of reminds me of, let's say, doctors, dentists, or lawyers. They kind of have that option of working with an established company that is already created prior, or going out and creating their own firm, right? So it's kind of nice that you sort of have that opportunity and something else to fall back on. Let's say this doesn't work out, then you can find a company that's already established, like you mentioned, Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley or Wells Fargo, and work with them. So you kind of have a lot of leeway with those like couple of fields, which I really like.
Yeah, there's different business structures that you can work in as a financial advisor. So many different business structures. Yeah.
Mhm. Do you get like a little scared now that like you're the owner, or like you're managing all of this, and it sort of falls back on you instead of like a company instead?
Very much. Right. I have a staff of 3. And so, and then it's my business partner and I, there's 5 of us. And so, yeah, it's definitely scary. The market's been volatile the last month or so. And so, because I generate my revenue from a percentage of assets under management, of course, when the assets fall, my dollar, the percentage, right, declines. And so it's definitely been something that's stressful for me, definitely. But I
Mhm.
do believe I will be successful in the long term. You
Mhm.
know, in investments, in business, with great risk comes great reward. If you want, and that's okay in terms of wanting to play it safe and wanting a salary and you don't want to stress about it. You really have to get to know yourself in terms of what type of person you are, right? Because someone could be like I was in a stable career, getting paid very well, got the benefits, everything was just coasting along, and I wasn't happy, and I'm stressed out now in regards to the responsibility I have, but I am happier. So, whereas someone else, it would be stressful for them to be in my situation. They would much rather be happy in a stable situation. So a lot of the decisions you make in life is first knowing who you are and what makes you happy.
So when working for a company, you do get that percentage cut of the profits that your clients make, plus you get the base salary. But it seems like working by yourself, you do only make that percentage cut. So if the market is down that year and you weren't able to make anything, that's kind of like your income. Your income was like nothing for that year.
Nothing.
So it does seem quite scary that it's quite dependent on the market instead of like a bigger company at least making sure you get a base pay.
Well, and that's why I sure better be practicing what I preach about having emergency savings, spending within my means, not carrying debt, all of those things. If the market were to decline, and on average, it usually doesn't last greater than 18 months. If I can float myself for those 18 months, then I should be fine, and that, I do practice what I preach.
And we're ready to answer these quick fire questions. So the first one, these are going to be trivia questions as well. So the first one is, when did Cal State Fullerton open its doors?
Oh, you don't put me on the spot.
Yeah.
When did Cal State Fullerton open its doors? Okay, so I was remembering the Tuffy, the Titan, those elephant races. I mean, that's got to be back in like 1958.
Very close, 1957. That was close though. So you know our school mascot, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that. So the last one is, what are our school colors?
Blue and orange. Or is it royal blue? And gray. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's royal blue. Yeah, instead of
royal blue.
But so first question: math, science, or art?
Just that I like art.
Yeah. Art. Do you prefer Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify. 1000%.
What's the last song you played on Spotify? No. This is a better question. What was your Spotify? Your you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, right? My top 20, my top 21. Hold on.
It was like the top 5, right?
It gave me your top songs of 2021. Is it listed in order of your top? Okay, I got top 21 songs. And so, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Best Friend with Saweetie and Doja Cat. Kiss Me More by Doja Cat. Apparently, I really love Doja Cat. Yours by Russell Dickerson. It's a country song. One Man Band with Old Dominion. Another country song. July by Noah Cyrus. And Helpless with Hamilton. The Hamilton song from Helpless.
Not bad. Those are decent choices.
Eclectic, yeah.
Do you prefer dogs or cats?
I guess dogs, but I love them both.
Do you have like a favorite breed of dog?
My dog, which is a mini Australian Shepherd. He has one blue eye, one brown eye, and he's 20 pounds overweight right now, which apparently is like severely obese for a dog. So he's got COVID weight.
That's true. Let's see. What's your favorite destination you haven't traveled to yet?
Well, I would like to go to Bali, and that is where I'm planning to go on my honeymoon next year.
Oh, okay. That's pretty neat. Let's see. What's your favorite Cal State Fullerton memory?
I think when I was going, freshman year and going to the Titan Student Union for the first time. And I was like, wow, they have this whole like arcade for us, that was really cool. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool.
And what is a must-read book that you would recommend?
The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I love that book.
It's pretty solid. I've heard of it, just haven't read it yet, but
it's amazing.
Kind of neat. Awesome. So now we're done with the quickfire questions. So I want to get started with some advice that you have. So I guess first, let's just go to your college. Why would you recommend the College of Business or getting a business degree just to students? So let's say if someone's undeclared, why should they focus on business?
I think it's a very, no matter what you're passionate about, whether it's science or art or music or whatever it is, business is involved in it. And so you can do what there's many creatives that could be more successful if they knew the business aspect of it. So the more you can educate yourself on how business works, how to run profitably, and also the more you kind of know about it, you can say, I don't like to do this, but I kind of know what to do, and I know how to hire someone to do those things. So I would say business because it's just general and it's involved in all aspects of this capitalist society we're in.
So it's kind of something that is a necessity, to
Exactly.
understand how we live in. You just can't forget about business majors and what happens in business. So how about like general advice to students? Let's say people who are graduating or soon to be graduating. What are some tips that you have for them?
Really just enjoy those last, semesters or whatnot of being able to just enjoy learning without as much distractions of life, like when you hit the real world and people aren't coddling you, like you said, in terms of allowing you to just do your thing and focus on you. That's always going to be a lifelong journey, but that will be something you have to make time for, is to learn, to read something, to do something for yourself. Other than that, you're kind of at the whims of society and all the responsibilities of making sure you can pay your bills and all those things. So it's just really enjoying that college experience, really enjoying the group dynamics and working in, projects together without the pressure of it being monetarily involved. I know it's your grades are a part of it, but it's different when it's financially involved. So the group dynamic changes. So definitely that.
And to end it off, you are pretty involved as an alumni, and you've definitely done quite a bit to, give back to the College of Business and to the Alumni Association. So why would you recommend, and why is it important for you to give back to the university?
Because I feel like there were things that, not necessarily that the college didn't have, that I wasn't, that should have been there. I wasn't as made aware with them. So a lot of my work and some of my contribution to the board is just making sure that students know the resources that are available to them, that there's conversations being had that they deserve to receive those resources, right? A lot of people don't know they have the help, and then they don't feel like they deserve to get the help. Then there's some shame around getting help. So I really want to break that wall down. And it's just, we're all connected. So period, helping other humans, specifically those where I have a connection in common with my alma mater, is so important to me, and it uplifts our degree. Having, everyone talks about Gwen Stefani graduated from Cal State Fullerton, or is it Kevin Costner? Who was the other one?
It was both of them, actually.
Yeah, right. So the more famous, wealthy people that come from our school, that maybe your involvement in the Alumni Association or the school helped contribute to making this amazing person who changed the world. I mean, we all have a contribution to that in a certain way. That's just uplifting our degree too. So I think that's important.
And one question I did forget to ask, because you do manage a lot of wealth, and I know a ton of students, including me, we see success as just having a ton of wealth, being financially stable for the rest of our lives. And you sort of like talk to these people who maybe have enough money to last them, but they want to figure out their goals. So to you, what do you think success means?
Success means to me waking up and being excited to face the day, to it's not like, I have to do that, really speaking authentically from your heart that I get to do this and I get to help people, or I get to, my contribution to this world or at my work is helping the environment, people, whatever it is. I think that's success because, so much of our life is working. It's not really spending time with family or hanging out with friends or going to festivals. It's primarily working. So I think success is finding a career that you are excited and passionate about, because we contribute so much of our life to it.
So those are great bits of advice. And going back on what you mentioned about alumni giving back, there's a great way to do that. We have the Titan Pro Network, which is of our very own specialized site for Cal State Fullerton students, staff, and alum. And with it, we're able to connect with one another, similar to LinkedIn, where you just send out that connect, and then you're able to just find someone who maybe is a student or maybe who graduated in the same field as you. And with it, you can ask to shadow them, you can ask them to mentor you, or even to review your resume. So we definitely recommend Titan Pro Network to all students and alum, because it's just a great way to get involved and make those connections. So it's very similar to LinkedIn, but except LinkedIn is, you don't know if everyone wants to connect with you on LinkedIn, but with Titan Pro Network, people sign up on there specifically to talk with other Cal State Fullerton students and alum. So that is why it's created, just to make sure that we do have this close family of Cal State Fullerton students and alum that can reach out to each other and just make sure that everyone in it is doing okay.
Yeah, there's this great book called The Go-Giver, and it's about, what's made this man successful in his life. And it's because he is constantly thinking about how he can give back. And he talks about these various scenarios of this man who is always trying to connect people, do something thoughtful for someone, and that has brought him success tenfold. And so when you're involved in that Titan Pro network, really after you're connecting with people, thinking, okay, who do I have in my network that can help this person? Not going into it always thinking, how can I get something out of it? But then how can I give something to the people that I meet? And I know it's played out, but it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's absolutely true. So the more people, it is worth your time. I know it's a drag. We've been during COVID and we've been burned out on Zoom, and we're not used to socializing like we were, but network. It's so important.
I couldn't agree more, especially with someone who has a business degree.
Yeah.
Networking is something that you kind of have to do constantly.
You have to do it. Really get joy from learning about people and their journey and trying to see what you can learn from them. That kind of gives it a little bit more, you get more energy from that instead of like, oh, I gotta go do this because it's good for me, Yeah.
Yeah. So just having that natural passion for it, it kind of just makes you just a better person overall. It makes you better just to be around and just happier overall as well, which kind of goes into that idea of success that we were talking about prior. So yeah.
I do have one more comment about, and kind of career and choosing your next job, right? Because I know the job market is hot in terms of a lot of people are looking to hire. I know that a lot of people are wanting to work from home. And I know that is an area that a lot of employers are reluctant to. Some people are all pro work from home. Some people are really reluctant to have someone immediately out the gate say, I demand to work from home all the time, or I demand to work half the time. You really need to think about what could you gain from this career and differentiating yourself by saying you are willing to put initiative and come into the office. I know there's this whole new normal, but I really think there's benefit from coming into the office and talking with people and learning from people, hearing how they talk and how they communicate in teams. I think there's value in that. When you're looking for a job, I would also look at the people who are going to be your colleagues. I always looked at my boss or the person who was above me and said, do I want to be that person? Do I like that person's life? Do they have a good work-life balance? Are they good people? Are they a good leader and mentor? And I might take a lower pay salary for that opportunity to be around that person. That person being around them would open doors that will pay off. I truly believe in the future. So I really think being focused not on the amount of money you make, but on the connections you make at the job, the experience that the job could give you. And even if you don't love it, I always say don't try to find the perfect job. Really be willing to try it out. Employers are less picky about you changing jobs all the time. I mean, people change jobs a lot. So I wouldn't say, not find a job because you're waiting for that perfect job to give you all these paid time off and work from home, and you want to be a leader and I think a lot of young graduates are really picky about finding that perfect job. Just get the experience and you'll learn to find what you really love. So those are some career things I wanted to mention.
Yeah, so those are perfect bits of advice. So again, thank you so much, Sathya, for joining us on the podcast today.
You're welcome.